Good afternoon, and welcome to the Wednesday afternoon conference call with Trusts Unlimited. This is Jim George speaking. I'm the non-attorney spokesman and facilitator for Trusts Unlimited. I'd like to thank all of you for taking the time to listen to this call this afternoon, particularly those of you calling in for the first time, and those that will be listening to the replay over the next 24 to 48 hours. We like to move quickly through this information, bottom line it for everybody. We know you're busy people and have other things to do. We have a standard format. We spend a few minutes talking about the reinstitution and revaluation of the Iraqi dinar, which we continue to believe is the base currency for the potential reset of these other currencies. A few minutes talking about the program we've put in place to assist you, and then we go to a brief Q&A. So let's go ahead and get started, talk a little bit about what's going on in Iraq. First, by way of disclaimer, Trusts Unlimited is not the purveyor of the dinar and these other currencies. We're not advocating either the sale or the purchase of these currencies, but as rather substantial currency holders ourselves, we're sharing with you the information that we think is relevant. And, of course, for those of us that are holding the dinar and these other currencies, the most relevant piece of information is the date for the potential reinstitution of the Iraqi dinar. We continue to believe, and we're cautiously optimistic at this point, that January of 2020 still remains the most plausible date for the reinstitution of the Iraqi dinar. And I'm going to get into some of the rationale for that. Let's first talk a little bit about the current political situation in Iraq. Unfortunately, they still have the ongoing and unwanted Iranian interference. At this time, they're primarily involved in working with some of the corrupt Shia officials in the Iraqi government, and they are working behind the scenes to suppress the protesters because the Iranians know that resolving these issues is not going to be good for them. The Iranian, and I'm not talking about the Iranian people. I have a lot of Iranian friends and clients. They're wonderful people. They are more despondent than most about the mullahs in Iraq, but these people are cockroaches. There's no other word to describe them. Their nefarious activities are designed for hegemony over the Middle East and basically the eradication of anyone that's not a radical Shia Muslim, and certainly Christians, Jews, Sikhs, Buddhists, and anyone else is of no concern to them. We also have the delayed prosecution of corrupted individuals, primarily having to do with their dragging their feet on the accountability and justice law. And the CBI continues to drag their feet with regard to the project for the deletion of the zeros. Unfortunately, the Parliament of Iraq, along with the international community and specifically the United States, has started a 45-day glide path. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, let's start with what's going on in Parliament. They've agreed for the time being to allow the Mahdi government to remain in place, primarily to avoid chaos. But this is conditioned upon Mahdi's guarantee for the safety of the protesters. Next Tuesday, the Parliament will be voting on the passage of two critical laws, the new election law and the high electoral law. Now, the high electoral law is similar to our electoral college. There are different provinces in Iraq where there are people of different cultures and different religions. So rather than having a flat-out popular vote, they're opting for more of an electoral approach where the provinces, along with the people, vote for their government. The Parliament has also given the government 45 days to implement all necessary reforms. They want all of the auctions to stop. They want the project for the deletion of the zeros to be completed. They wanted the total elimination of Iranian influence. They want an equitable distribution of the oil revenues, and they want the restoration of water and electric services to all provinces. Also, the United States does have in effect the OFAC sanctions, meaning that the Iraqi dinar cannot be reinstated by the IMF and find itself back on the Forex. This is the Office of Foreign Assets Control. The United States is also imposing sanctions on Iraqi officials for corruption, incompetence, or both. In other words, the international community, the United States, and the Parliament of Iraq have put the government on a 45-day glide path to resolve all of these issues. Now, this was announced a couple of days ago. 45 days out from these announcements, what do we have? January 1st of 2020. So if all of this is resolved, they'll be in a position to reinstitute their currency in January of 2020. Now, we are dealing with Iraq, so it's entirely possible and even probable that not all of this will get done by January 1st of 2020. But there is a way that the government can still get this done in January, and that is by passage of their 2020 budget with the new rate in the budget. Now, how can they issue a 2020 budget with a rate that does not exist? The way they can do that is by passing the budget and simply not making governmental expenditures until the reinstitution. Now, obviously, they cannot let that go on for months, but for a month or two, it is possible. As a matter of fact, last year, they didn't make payments for a couple of months. So it is possible it can be done. It's not the preferred approach. My only point here is that that could be done. So, again, we're cautiously optimistic for January of 2020 for the reinstitution of the Iraqi dinar. And all of the requisite players have basically put the government on notice. I think what has the most teeth here is not only the U.S. OFAC sanctions on the dinar, but the fact that the U.S. government is going to impose sanctions on individual officials. And I don't want to go into the details, but simply put, these individuals are going to find it extremely difficult, if not impossible, to function under such a sanction. So that has some teeth, and hopefully we'll be able to get through this logjam. I'm optimistic, cautiously optimistic, that that's going to be the case. Now, assuming that that is the case, that leaves us precious little time to get our affairs in order. Most dinarians are not wealthy people, and they have not been involved in some of the techniques that are utilized to protect assets, to protect your privacy, to reduce taxes, and all of these issues. To that end, Trusts Unlimited has put a program in place to assist dinarians. It's a two-phased program. Phase 1 is pre-RV. Phase 2 is post-RV. Pre-RV involves the establishment of a package of pre-RV asset protection trusts with the assignment of your dinar and other currencies on paper to that trust product. Post-RV involves all of the products, services, and professional referrals that will be made available to you after the revaluation of the dinar and these other currencies. Now, there are a number of entities that one can establish to provide at least some level of asset protection. For example, some individuals have established LLCs and sub-S corporations. They do provide some asset protection, primarily separating business assets from personal assets. But the possession of these currencies is a personal asset, so these issues of the LLC and the sub-S corporation are not a really good fit. In addition, a number of courts have ruled that if an LLC or a sub-S corporation in the majority is owned by one person or a closely held group, then it can be pierced for civil litigation. So that makes them inappropriate for our needs. Some individuals have established a revocable or a living trust. Now, such a trust does exempt one's estate from probate and can in some cases substantially reduce and eliminate the federal estate tax, but revocable or living trusts can provide no asset protection, so they're going to be insufficient for our needs. There are also individuals that have established single irrevocable trusts, and they do provide privacy and asset protection, but there is one flaw here. and that is that if any asset held within a single irrevocable trust is involved in litigation, that necessarily brings all of your other assets and net worth into that litigation because they're all owned by the same entity, that one individual trust. The solution is to create a package of irrevocable trusts, and in our opinion, that is the only bulletproof asset protection available today. And that's the protection that Trusts Unlimited has established. Now, there are a number of reasons why you need to establish such a package pre-RV, and the benefits that you would receive can only be provided if your trust package is established pre-RV, and I'll review those reasons for you. First, by establishing this trust package, you will preserve your privacy and your anonymity. That's because all assets held within our trust package are sealed, meaning that the general public will have no knowledge of your net worth or your actual holdings. This is the only way you can guarantee privacy and anonymity. Second, by establishing this trust package, you will be able to successfully avoid personal IRS scrutiny. If you're holding these currencies in direct title when they revalue, the IRS computers will most likely spit out an audit. And with the potential magnitude of this revaluation relative to your prior year's earnings, you very well could be looking at a full-blown 6-year audit. Such an audit would be time-consuming. It would be extremely frustrating because it would come along at the precise time that you just enjoyed the revaluation of these currencies and you have other things you want to do. And third, the cost of a 6-year IRS audit would probably be more than the cost of our asset protection trust package. On the other hand, if your asset protection trust package is enforced pre-RV and your currencies have been assigned on paper to that trust package, you will have successfully transferred the taxable event of this revaluation from yourself personally to the trust. Now, this is important for two reasons. First, there's less than a 10% chance of an audit if this revaluation were to occur within your trust. But second, and most importantly, even if the IRS determines to audit your trust, they cannot do a 6-year audit. Why? Because the only taxable event within the trust will be the revaluation itself. The third reason you'd want to establish this trust package is because included in our package is a special gift subtrust. Philanthropic gifting can always be done on a tax-preferred basis, either pre- or post-RV. But in order to avoid a substantial 40% federal gift tax, you're going to need to gift currencies to family and friends prior to the revaluation. Now, if you're gifting to individuals that you have no problem giving them the currency to exchange for themselves or giving them the lump sum after you've conducted the exchange, that can be accomplished outside of a trust with a standard gift letter. But if you are hesitant for any reason to give these individuals the post-RV lump sum, then you can gift to them through our exclusively designed gift subtrust. Because you're gifting through this subtrust, their U.S. dollars will be protected along with yours. The language of this subtrust allows you to gift up to a certain amount of a currency or currencies, meaning you can gift to these individuals the exact U.S. dollar amount that you had in mind, irrespective of the exchange rate. And because you're gifting through this gift subtrust, you will have complete control of the proceeds, meaning that you can manage, invest, and distribute this money to the individuals as you deem appropriate. The fourth reason you'd want to establish this trust package is because it's been structured in such a way as to allow your estate to bypass the cost and delay of probate and the federal estate tax. I'll give you two quick scenarios. Scenario number one, you purchase 5 million dinar for $5,000. The day after that, those currencies revalue for $25 million. The day after that, you pass away, leaving your heirs an estate of $25 million. Now that estate must go through probate, a process that ordinarily can take anywhere from 6 to 18 months. But probate is a public disclosure process, meaning that the general public will be aware of the size of your estate, who your heirs are, and how much they each stand to inherit. So if anyone feels they have a legitimate claim against you, your estate, or your heirs, they could simply file that claim with a probate court. And that could tie the estate up for years, and in some cases even decades. And your heirs will have either limited access or no access at all to their respective inheritance until the probate process is completed. Then there's something called the federal estate tax. This is the tax that the federal government would assess in order for that estate to be transferred to heirs. Under current law, approximately $10 million of that $25 million estate would bypass any federal estate tax, but the balance could be taxed as much as 55%. Now, this scenario is not only probable without the proper planning, it's completely and totally avoidable. Scenario number 2, you purchase 5 million dinar for $5,000. The day after that, you assign those currencies on paper to our asset protection trust package. The day after that, those currencies revalue for $25 million. The day after that, you pass away, leaving your heirs that same estate of $25 million, but this time protected in our asset protection trust package. As a result, there will be no probate. There will be no public disclosure of your estate. Your heirs will have immediate access to their respective inheritance, and the federal estate tax will be zero, saving your heirs as much as 55% of their inheritance. The fifth reason you'd want to establish this pre-RV asset protection trust package is for some very specific asset protection benefits. One pre-RV, one post-RV. Pre-RV, this trust package will allow you to circumvent something called the Uniform Fraudulent Transfer Act. What does that mean? Under our system of civil procedure, you can only be sued for what you own in direct title or the value of property at the time you transfer it out of title to an entity like our trust package. So let's take the previous example from before. You purchase 5 million dinar for $5,000. You transfer those currencies to our trust. They subsequently revalue for $25 million. You begin to live a lifestyle more reflective of your newfound wealth, and a couple of years down the road, someone sees that you're living rather comfortably and decides for whatever reason that they're going to sue you. Well, this prospective plaintiff has a couple of problems. First, he or she better have a very strong case and very deep pockets, because this trust is structured in such a way as to make it extremely expensive and extremely time-consuming to pursue civil litigation. But second, and most importantly, once any prospective plaintiff learns that pursuant to the Uniform Fraudulent Transfer Act, the only thing they could ever win by way of a civil award would be $5,000, the value of the currencies at the time you transferred it out of title to the trust, and none of the post-RV value of $25 million, there will be no lawsuit. Post-RV, there's a benefit I like to refer to as limited liability stop loss. This protects you from future bad acts after you have acquired this wealth. This protection is accomplished through a legal strategy called segregation of assets, and this is how it works. Once again, we'll use the same example. You purchase 5 million dinar, assign them to the trust. They subsequently revalue for 25 million. Now that you have 25 million in trust, you decide to make some purchases. So you purchase a larger primary residence, a vacation home, perhaps a half a dozen rental properties for tax write-off and additional cash flow, a couple of cars, a boat, and let's say an RV. But as you purchase these items, you place each of them in their own separate sub-trust to be managed by your master trust, the trust that you established pre-RV. Now, why is this critical from an asset protection standpoint? Well, let's say one day you're driving one of your new cars, You have an accident. The accident is clearly your fault, and tragically someone is seriously injured or even killed. Well, the family of the victim is going to want to sue you. But remember, civil suits are about monetary awards, and you don't legally own anything. So the plaintiffs would be left to sue the owner of the car that you were driving. Well, who owns that car? One of your subtrusts, of which you are merely the beneficiary. And what's in that subtrust? Merely that one car and the car insurance policy. In that scenario, the car insurance carrier would negotiate an out-of-court settlement with the victim's family. You would not be involved in those rather unpleasant negotiations. The car insurance carrier would repair or replace your car, making you whole. And this is important from an asset protection standpoint. All of your other assets are safely protected in the other subtrusts. Why? Because under the law, those separate subtrusts are separate legal persons or entities, and the plaintiffs would have no standing to pursue civilly a separate legal entity. So your trust package works very much the way a barge would work, where all of the valuable cargo is stored in a series of small compartments. Why? In the event that any compartment is ever breached, the only potential loss would be the cargo in that one compartment. The cargo in the other compartments is safe and secure due to the firewalls, and the barge will never sink. Now, these benefits are lost to you if you do not establish your trust package prior to the revaluation of the dinar and these other currencies. Now, there is one other benefit, and it's this. If you are, in fact, the holder of one of our pre-RV asset protection trust packages, then you will be eligible to participate in Phase 2, all of the products, services, and professional referrals that will be made available to you. I will just make mention of one here today. Trusts Unlimited will be sponsoring a post-RV seminar to be held in Disney World, Florida, approximately 30 days after the revaluation of the Iraqi dinar. Present at that seminar will, of course, be the staff of Trusts Unlimited to assist you with the management and funding of your trust packages post-RV. Many of our existing clients have expressed desires to establish scholarship funds, foundational trusts, special needs trusts, charitable remainder trusts, and even the more complicated 501c3 nonprofit and offshore trusts. And the proper way to fund those entities is through the direct transfer of funds from your asset protection trust to these newly formed entities. We will have our tax specialists there to help you with tax strategies. Our offshore specialists will show you that by establishing offshore title of certain assets, you can, in some cases, substantially reduce and eliminate future taxes on the reinvestment of the net proceeds from the revaluation itself. We will also have our independent fee-based wealth managers there as well. You're going to want to reposition assets after the revaluation of the dinar and these other currencies for a number of reasons. First, we know statistically that 95% of all windfalls, however large and from whatever source, are lost within 3 to 5 years due to inexperience, mismanagement, and fraud. We also know that under the new G20 bank bail-in provisions, the failure of banks in the future will no longer be made whole through the general taxing authority of the respective governments, but first and foremost by the confiscation of funds at the accounts at those banks. So you're going to want to get money out of the banks and at work in other markets. Lastly, the general global shift from fiat-based to commodity 3 compliant, Basel III compliant commodity-backed currencies in and of itself is going to create extremely volatile financial markets, and you're going to want a substantial amount of your net worth in tangible assets. Now, our trust package is initially a package of 10 trusts consisting of one master trust that will hold your pre-RV currencies, then hold your financial accounts like bank accounts and investment accounts post-RV, and manage the subtrusts. One optional gift subtrust if you plan on gifting currencies to family and friends through the trust package. which subtrust can at any time be converted to a standard subtrust, and then 8 additional standard subtrusts to hold financial assets like homes, cars, boats, etc. Now, this package was a simplification of a rather sophisticated package that we've used for our more affluent clients, a package that had an initial cost of anywhere from $6,000 to $10,000. But when we decided to work with Denarian some years back, we knew that that price tag was going to be unaffordable for too many. So by basically restructuring that package, we've been able to reduce the cost to $3,000. Now, there are several ways you can pay for that. If you pay us up front, we'll discount the price further to $2,500, saving you an additional $500. If that's not possible, we do have a deferred payment arrangement. You'd make an initial payment of $525, which sum basically offsets our out-of-pocket costs just to produce and deliver your trust package to you. The balance of the $3,000 would then be paid in $100 monthly installments. We will charge no interest. The only proviso is once the revaluation of the Iraqi dinar occurs, any unpaid balance would need to be paid within 30 days. With this approach, anybody that has currencies and understands the need for getting their affairs in order and their trust in place pre-RV should be in a position to afford to do so. One other suggestion, we do accept credit cards. Pay us up front with a credit card. Not only will you get the $500 discount, but the minimum payment on your credit card would be substantially less than the $100 a month you'd be paying us under our deferred payment arrangement. But we will work with you in whatever method works best for you. Our objective is to help you get your affairs in order and your trust in place prior to the revaluation of the dinar and these other currencies for all of the reasons that we've stated here. Now, I will be going to a Q&A in just a moment, but before I do, and for the benefit of our newer callers, I'd like to tell you a little bit about Trusts Unlimited and why you may want to seriously consider allowing us to assist you, or at the very least, getting our initial no-obligation package. Our trust package was authored by our attorney, Robert Bly. He's been a practicing attorney for over 40 years, specializing in the areas of estate planning, asset protection, and offshore planning. I myself hold degrees in political science, macroeconomics, and finance. I've worked in these areas for over 38 years, and I, along with my clients, were personally involved in the reinstatement of the Kuwaiti dinar in the early 90s. So between the two of us, Robert Bly and I have over 78 years' experience working precisely in these areas, and I frankly know of no firm that can make that claim. Now, Bob and I have been working together for over a decade in the areas of estate planning, asset protection, and offshore planning. And it has been disheartening from time to time to see people walk away from sound estate planning and trust creation because of the mistaken belief that by doing so they have somehow lost control of their assets and their affairs. In point of fact, it's just the reverse. Under our system of civil procedure, it's when you hold assets in direct title that you can lose control of them or lose them outright. If you've lived for any length of time, you've either experienced in your own life or through friends and family things like unexpected divorce, permanent incapacitation, the onset of dementia, premature death and prolonged and complicated probate processes. Then there are investment losses, business losses, and even bankruptcies. The number 2 loss of wealth now in the aggregate, courtesy of the information age, is identity theft. But the number 1 loss of personal wealth remains confiscation through civil litigation. Anything you own in direct title can be taken from you. So in point of fact, under our system of civil procedure, the only way that you can manage, protect, and control everything at all times and in all circumstances is through the establishment of a package of irrevocable trusts, and particularly if you have an asset like these currencies that you're anticipating a substantial increase in value. And we at Trusts Unlimited will do everything we can to help you accomplish your personal and financial objectives both pre- and post-RV as we understand them. Again, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to listen to this call. We're going to go to the Q&A in just a moment. When we do, I suggest our newer callers have a pen and paper handy. I will give you our contact information. I strongly recommend you get our initial no-obligation package. It does include everything you need should you decide to establish a pre-RV package of asset protection trusts, but again, you're under no obligation to do so. The package includes a lot of information about us, about trusts, about Iraq and the revaluations themselves. You can review the package, contact us by phone or email if you have any questions. We'll be happy to assist you in every way, and there will be no consultation fee. Again, we're doing everything we can to help you make an informed decision for all of the reasons that we've stated here. I'm going to open the Q&A now. 2 quick rules on the Q&A. We do not take service calls on the Q&A. Our existing clients can contact us by phone or email if they have a service question. And second, for obvious reasons, your name and number must be on the screen in order to participate in the Q&A. So I'm going to open up now. And while I'm waiting for any potential calls, I'd like to give you our contact information. You can go to our website, which is trusts with an S, unlimitedllc.com. Our email address is trusts with an S, unlimitedllc@gmail.com. Our phone service is 307-274-4122. If you'd like to listen to a recent conference call playback, or if you'd be kind enough to refer us to someone that might be interested in our services, you can either go to YouTube and then go to Trusts Unlimited, or you can go to IQD calls and then go to Trusts Unlimited, or you can simply dial the same number that you dialed for this live call this afternoon with the exception of the last digit. Rather than dialing 4, you'll dial 3 and then use the same access code, which is 739-394-pound. If you'd like to be included on our email list, you can go to our website, go to the bottom, enter your name and email address where indicated. You should be on our email list within 24 hours. Bear in mind that we only send emails out very periodically pre-RV, but post-RV emails will probably be going out on a weekly basis. Well, let's go to our Q&A. Our first caller here is area code 323. That's 323. Go ahead.
I'm calling to find out, is this a simple trust or a complex trust?
It's a complex trust.
Okay.
And for those of you that don't understand the difference, with generally speaking, a single trust does not allow an individual to remove the principal or assets within the trust, only the generated earnings. With a complex trust, principal, interest, and earnings and assets can be taken out of the trusted will.
Great.
Okay.
Now, second question, can the grantor become a trustee?
The grantor cannot be the grantor or the settlor cannot be the trustee in an irrevocable trust because they have lost their asset protection and their privacy. However, the gift subtrust that is within the package, if you decide that you want to gift currencies through the gift subtrust, the grantor or the settlor would be the trustee of that subtrust because they're not the beneficiary.
So by me being the grantor, I'm just, where do I stand as far as being involved in the trust?
Well, the trustee, if you look at the documents that as presented, the trustee can do nothing without your knowledge and consent. The trust, all other financial documents, all titles, everything remain in your possession. You can amend the terms of the trust at any time. You can remove assets from the trust at any time, and you can replace a trustee at any time. And as a matter of fact, one of the documents within the trust is a document that the trustee will sign stating that you are their advisor. So the trustee can only do what you ask them to do. They cannot do anything that you tell them not to do.
I see. Great. Thank you for answering my questions.
Sure. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Our next caller is area code 913. That's 913. Go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon. I have a question. In your trust, it says that you have protectors and trustees. What if in some future time before the RV you lose a protector and you've lost touch with a trustee? How would you go about, taking care of that? Do you do the trust? Do you choose a new protector first?
Okay. First of all, we do not. We want you to name only one trustee pre-RV and no protector. The reason we're doing this is because if you name two trustees, which we recommend, and a protector, they will have to be present at the exchange, and we don't want that. We only want you and your trustee to the exchange. Now, if you wish to replace a trustee, you can do so at any time and for any reason. You don't even need to discuss this with this individual. So if, once again, if the trustee is either uncooperative or unavailable, or you simply would prefer to name someone else, you can do that by simply sending us an email and instructing us who you wish to remove and the names of the individuals you wish to replace them with.
Okay, what about if you wanted to replace your protector and you've already named that protector?
You can replace a protector at any time for any reason, and until there are actually assets in the trust, you don't even need a protector. The protector is there, and the technical advantages of the protector are something that we will review the minute the Iraqi dinar reinstates, not revalues globally, but reinstates in country. Then we are going to cease and desist everything we've been doing for the last 8 years, and we're going to concentrate solely on the function of the trust. But again, the trustee and the protector completely work accordance with your instructions, and you can replace any of them at any time for any reason.
Okay, but you can go ahead and replace the protector if you've lost your protector.
I would suggest you not even name a protector till after the revaluation.
Okay, but what if you've already named a protector?
Then you would simply, what I would do is I would just ask to have their name removed from your trust, or you could remove the name yourself. You could just edit that out. I believe the protector's only on a couple of pages. You just go to the top of that page, click Allow Edit, and just remove their name. But if the protector's been removed and is no longer... Now, how did you remove this person? Did you send them anything in writing, or you just decided you don't want them involved?
Well, I've lost touch with them. I don't even know where they are.
Okay, then what I would do is, you don't know where they are? You don't even have an address?
Nope, they just kind of fell off the face of the earth.
Okay, then I suggest you send us an email. Do you have one trustee or two?
I have two trustees, and I have a protector.
Send us an email stating that you wish to remove your protector. Give us your name, the name of your master trust, and the name of the protector that you wish removed from your documents. Just send us that. We can't do anything without your written permission.
Okay, and then my other trustee that I need to remove both of my trustees. It's been several years since I bought your trust, and I referred it to a lot of people. They really like it, but they were asking me that question as well, because some of them have lost contact with trustees.
Anybody that, for any reason, that wants to remove one of their fiduciaries, a trustee or protector, needs to send us that request by email in writing. And what I would strongly suggest for you, if you plan on removing both trustees, is just to name one trustee pre-RV and no protector. And remember, most of our clients, oddly enough, are a little bit older, and they have children of age, and they name their children as trustees. So, you can name one of your children as trustee if you haven't already done so.
Well, okay. I appreciate that. I think that's going to help. I know it's going to help me, but I know it's going to help some of my friends who are asking about the trust that they purchased from you.
Right. Well,
as
I said, yeah. Yes, ma'am. Bye-bye. just as a general rule, we are happy to amend trusts per request, but we need to have the request in writing. We can't possibly entertain making a change unless we have that request in writing. Protects us and it protects you. Our next caller is area code 312. That's 312 is probably Les.
Yes, sir.
Les,
good. That's right.
What's up, Les?
It's me. Hey. Good afternoon, Jim. So,
yes, sir.
3 questions.
Uh-oh.
Have your contacts in Iraq said anything to you about the auctions being stopped?
You know, I didn't even ask him about that. I've been relying on the other information that I got. The auctions, to me, are not going to just one day they're there and one day they're going to stop. I think what's going to happen is there'll be fewer of them. But like I said, they got a 45-day fuse, and the blank is going to hit the fan if they don't get this done in 45 days. So that's a question that I'm going to call my guy. I was going to call him tomorrow, but I might call him today and see about that, the auctions. I'm writing it down right. All right. Question number 2.
Back in September, on September 11th, there was a news article regarding Maliki, his aircraft, and 10 boxes of money that was on his aircraft, and was wondering, since this law that you stated earlier about them, and I saw it somewhere else earlier this week, that they were going to punish all the people that were stealing the money or stealing money from Iraq. Would that U.S. currency count as money stolen from Iraq?
Absolutely. And the reason, and my understanding of the delay is they do not want to implement or indict pursuant to the accountability and justice law until they get these other issues resolved, because it's going to create more chaos. They can't chew gum and walk at the same time. They can't. They've proven it. It's kind of like our House of Representatives. They can't do 2 things at once. They can only do one thing: legislate or impeach. They can't do both. It's just the nature of politics. So that's on the back burner. Maliki is he's a problem. He's a problem because he just won't go away quietly. So I just think that's one of the issues that's going to be deferred. The 2 new election laws are critical, and the other reforms are critical. Getting him is important, but it's not critical. And if you're in business, you know, you have a list of important things, but at the top of the list are one of the critical things.
Okay. All right. And the last question is regarding the 45 days and the laws that you mentioned. Now, they can get this done within the 45 days. And if they should go beyond...
I still think they'll wait till January to have it in accordance with the new budget.
All right. So what happens if it should surpass the 45 days?
Well, like I said, what they can do is they can issue the budget with the presumed new rate and just not pay anybody till they get it resolved. You know, you never know what these guys are going to do. They're on the fly over there. They really are in a lot of ways. It's hard to criticize them when you see the utter chaos that masquerades as a government in this country. We've been a republic for 243 years, and we're acting like we just wrote the Bill of Rights and the Constitution last week. So, you know, it's unfortunate that all of this is occurring, but it's the nature of politics. Politics is not about true or false or right or wrong. It's about control, and it's just unfortunate, but it's the way it is.
Thanks, Jim. Appreciate everything. Thanks for taking my call, and say hi to the professor for me.
Will do. Thanks a lot, Les. And I will check that contact out. If I hear anything dramatic, I'll let you know. I got your email. I mean, your text number. Okay.
You got it. Thanks again.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye.
All right.
Well, Les was our last caller this afternoon. Again, I'd like to thank all of you for taking the time to listen to this call. If the things we've discussed here are of interest to you, I sincerely hope you will contact us to get our initial no obligation package. Again, while it does include everything you need to proceed, you're under no obligation. You can review the package, contact us if you have any questions. There will be no consultation fee. Our next call is scheduled for next Wednesday. Certainly, if something of a dramatic nature were to happen between now and then, we will try to get out an emergency email and schedule an emergency conference call. Failing that, we will be back next Wednesday, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Thanks for listening and have a great week, everyone. Bye-bye.